Mully and Haugh, Chicago Sports Radio, 670 The Score. Oh, it's like Christmas whenever we get a chance to talk to Olin Kreutz. He's our man in the booth. Who the hell is Jason Kelce? Olin joins us now on the Score Hotline, powered by IBEW Local 9, Chicago's original powerhouse since 1892. Good morning, Olin. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
I saw that guy in the booth. That was very funny because apparently he visited the Wiener Circle,
yeah.
And they had a sign up that said, "Welcome to Taylor's boyfriend's brother."
That was a good line.
And
I thought they talked to him for a long time, though.
Yeah. I mean, is that now he's famous because of
Jason Kelce? Very good center, right, for a long time for the Eagles. Maybe the best center in the NFL. Fun guy to watch play football. Just in the booth, if you're a Chicago Bear analyst, in the morning you have to talk about him being in the booth, so you're a little irritated by it.
Why was he there? What was his purpose?
I don't know. I think
It's a good question. It's a really good question. I don't know. Is it a tryout for a job?
Yep, gotta be.
Yeah, it's got to be. So, and they just thought the game was going to be that boring, and that's why, like I said, and you guys are part of this too. As analysts, you see it and you're like, oh man, now I got to talk about this too. On top of everything else I got to talk about with the Chicago Bears, what's going on. I got to talk about a center being in the booth. I got to mention Taylor Swift. My daughters will be happy. I got to talk about the Wiener Circle. Welcome them to the Wiener Circle. So I got to talk about a lot of things. As you guys know me very well, I don't really like talking about.
That is outstanding. That's outstanding. So the Bears win a game, right? They grind it out. I got to tell you, I'm sitting there just wanting to go to bed. I didn't have to do the post game. We were ships that crossed in the night, Olin. I didn't see you in the pregame, and I missed the postgame. But
I didn't get to see your Velus Jones celebration. Yeah. I missed that.
He spiked the football in the end zone.
Yeah, I was very pleased. But the fact is that game, if they had made that field goal, I mean, thank God it didn't happen. But just to get out of there with a win, just to get that done is a big step for the Bears because I thought the defense played great. And they ran the football. There were still moments on offense where you shake your head.
Yeah, there were still moments, but again, when the backup quarterback is in with that offense, that's what you expect. That kind of game, right, going against the Carolina Panthers. And Frank Wright thought he had a 60-yard field goal up his sleeve, but he didn't. So they missed that field goal. But Tyson Bagent, he doesn't turn the ball over, and in the first half he converts a 4th and 4. And at the end of the game, he converts a 3rd and 7. And that's what you want from your backup quarterback. And we knew what we were going to see going into that game. You said to people, they said, are you thinking the Bears are going to win tonight? And you would say yes. But the problem is I also think they can lose against this Carolina Panthers team when you look at the rosters and match these two teams up. The real thing I'm thinking about, guys, this morning when I was going through that game again is, do they blow them out with Justin Fields at quarterback, right? With the way that defense played, put Justin Fields there in at quarterback. I think Justin Fields would be too much for that Carolina Panthers defense. I think he would overwhelm them with his athleticism. Just from what I've seen on film, all the injuries they had a couple guys up from practice squad playing cornerback. They had some outside linebackers up because Brian Burns is out. So when you watch that game, I'm watching it. A great matchup between Derrick Brown, Tevin Jenkins, and Darnell Wright. But I watched that game, look at it like, I wonder if this team is thought about just middle of the pack. If Justin Fields is out there against the Raiders, if Justin Fields is out there against the Carolina Panthers.
I agree with that because I think their ambition would have changed offensively. And last night they weren't very ambitious at all. Tyson Bagent had one job: don't get us beat, protect the football. And I think those two things limited how many chances they were going to take. He didn't complete a pass for beyond 16 yards, Olin. But I think the most important stat to me, obviously they were modest statistics and all of those things, but he did not take a sack. And you saw him do some things that maybe the plays were designed to get rid of the football quicker, but whatever the case was, they avoided that negative play that kept the chains moving and the progress going forward.
It's a great point, David. And also the offensive line is playing well in this stretch. Braxton Jones has come back. The two plays I talked about, right, the 4th and 4 and the 3rd and 7. They gave him almost 5 seconds on both of those plays. Now, we know Brian Burns is out, but you got to block who's on the field, right? And then when you watch that offense, like you're talking about, in the beginning, he looked a little gun shy. Staley put on film what to do against him, right? Play zone, make him fit it into small windows, and now he's seen that every week. I think it was on the first drive, he almost got caught again on that cover 2 where the cornerback sinks, right? He almost threw an interception. Right there again, maybe a better team makes that play, but the Carolina Panthers don't. He throws the ball. There's 2 guys in that area. Cole Kmet runs a quick out. I think it was on 3rd and 7 or 8, and he tries to throw it there again. He gets fooled again by almost the same zone coverage he got fooled twice already in his career. So he just keep working, man. But again, you got to beat the Carolina Panthers. That's what they did. As far as offense goes, run the ball, don't turn it over, make 2 or 3 critical plays. You heard Herb Street keep saying that all night that Frank Wright wanted Bryce Young to do that. But instead, the young undrafted quarterback does that for the Chicago Bears. Got to keep reminding ourselves where this guy's come from. He is a free agent quarterback. He has a lot of growing to do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Olin. And in terms of, I don't want to criticize the defense because they obviously allowed 6 points. Other than the punt return, the Bears did a really good job. Having said that, man, did they have chances. Man, could they have gotten some interceptions. It felt like there were, 3 drops, a couple of, missed moments where a guy didn't turn at the right moment. Whatever it was, they really could have had an easier game had they just caught the football a little on defense.
And I think your coaching point is great because I think that's what Coach Eberflus and the defensive staff will say to them when they get back to Halisol. They say, guys, playing good defense, playing great against a run. Our run fits are really, really good, especially with Brisker back. I think he missed a tackle early in the game, but he came, it looked like he got comfortable and started playing well after that. We're playing good on defense. We're starting to get to the quarterback a little bit more. Obviously, if you're the Chicago Bears, you count pressures a little differently, right? You got to have that stopwatch on there. We got to get our pressure within 3 seconds. So some of those pressures, how long Bryce Young holds on to the ball, for me, they wouldn't count, right? They wouldn't count. And as a Chicago Bears defensive coach, you're playing against the Lions soon. They're a better football team. But what you're saying to them, Mully, this morning is, man, we need ball production, guys. Our defense, that's what we're built on. We're the hits principle, right? We need ball production. We got to get the takeaways, and you show them when they were close. I remember Rob Marinelli used to show films of like lions chasing zebras, and when a lion would bite the zebra, the ball would pop out of the zebra. So those are things in that defense are very, very important. And I think to your point, that's the coaching point coming up whenever they meet again Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, guys, we have a chance to be a good defense, but until we get our ball production up, we are not.
Olin, when you watch Montez Sweat and the impact he's made in 2 games as he sort of gets acclimated to new teammates, new surroundings, and everything that comes with changing teams in midseason, I felt like last night you saw the types of things they described in making that deal. Generated 8 pressures. That was the most productive or the most pressures in a Bears defensive lineman has had since Robert Quinn 3 years ago. They talk about him being a multiplier, and I don't know how tightly related it is that his presence and Ngakoue gets a sack and Justin Jones gets a sack and the pass rush was better. What did you see, and what impact is Montez Sweat having?
He's definitely having an impact. Since the Bears traded Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, we all know what we've been complaining about on 3rd downs. The fact that pass rush was the quarterback just standing there very, very comfortable, right? You had a guy like Montez Sweat in there. All of a sudden, they got to double him. It frees up other guys. He's all with his strength and size. Even if he doesn't get to the quarterback, he's collapsing the pocket at some point. It looks to me like he's right around 3 or 4 seconds now. He has gone against 2 very good right tackles to start his Bear career, right? Ramczyk and Moulton. I think Moulton, they gave him almost $80 million this offseason. Right. Ramczyk is a well-paid right tackle. So 2 of the better right tackles in the NFL, he saw immediately. And then he may see the best one next week, right? So quite the stretch he's got here with Penei Sewell coming up. But he is definitely been a difference maker, David. You can definitely see his athleticism, even when they fake and boot his way, right? The quarterback is not outrunning this defensive end, right? He's chasing guys. We saw him run down Taysom Hill last week. He's very good against the run, big and strong, athletic. He makes a big difference out there for that defensive line. They needed a guy like that in the room. I think, they drafted 2 young guys. Maybe it scared them a little bit, right? These guys are not giving them any production. We better go get somebody. We better go get a free agent, somebody who can make a difference immediately, somebody who we know what he gives us on film right now in the NFL.
Um, you look at DJ Moore, and I always complain that they don't get the ball to him. They did target him 9 times, 5 catches for 58 yards, and obviously that leads the game. There wasn't a lot of yardage from receivers. Between him and Cole Kmet, they really Cole Kmet has come around quite a bit, and it feels like they're also, and maybe that's just Bajan. I don't know. I hope Fields does the same thing, but he's giving him the ball. He's getting it to him, and the guy's starting to make plays. It's pretty cool.
It is cool, and it always seems it's the Bears and the Panthers. You guys remember the great game in 2010 with Todd Collins, Caleb Haney, Jimmy Clausen, and Matt Moore, right? We couldn't throw the ball anyway. I was a part of that game. I was a part of a lot of games, guys, that you watched last night. So I knew what I was looking at when I was watching that. I knew what had to happen on defense and what the offense had to do. But as far as DJ Moore, they got them the ball a little more, I thought, they started the game with that wide receiver screen, right? And DJ Moore, very, very, very tough, man, in the open field. And even when they ran that jet sweep, I think it was late in the first or in the second half, and he got 1 yard. I'm good with that. As long as it's in DJ Moore's hands, I'm good with it. Something can happen. The defense is scared. Cole Kmet, man, he for 3 or 4 games in the middle of the season, we talked about how he was like an undercover MVP because he was just doing all the little things, right? Chipping for tackles, chipping for Borum, helping out and blocking all, almost the whole game. Only chip release. By that I mean not really running a route, chipping the D in and then releasing out. Man, he's coming along. He got that Mike Ditka now where he won't go to the ground, which you love to see from a tight end, right? Tevin Jenkins, them down the field, pushing the pile, playing really, really good football when you watch the film, sound, doing all the little things that you ask him to do, and looking like a really good signing by Ryan Poles in the offseason right now.
Winning can be a powerful thing, even for a team struggling like the Bears, and it has been a while since they have had – this feeling, and now they have 2 straight home victories and a lot of momentum they go into this weekend. And Olin, you referenced, you've been on some teams that have not been great, but have had moments during the season where you feel like, all right, you can ask yourself, even though it was ugly, what value does it have? When you look at last night, it was ugly, but what value could it have for the Bears?
Yeah, it gets everyone to believe in, Coach Flus. You see him talking after the game. He took a lot of heat at the podium. Just gets everyone feeling a little better. Everyone's a little more coachable when they walk in that building again, when they decide to meet again, coming up at Hallisall. I heard Mully earlier saying, I hope it's soon. I agree with him. I heard you wanted to give him some vacation time already. That's a little interesting to me. They'll be on vacation very soon. They won't be in the playoffs. They got vacation coming up very soon. They should get right back to work.
They may have an extended vacation, Olin.
What's wrong with sleeping in and doing some yoga?
Have them in a lake house, have them at the Ritz-Carlton. Guys, they won 1 game. Let's take it easy, right? They're already at the buffet in the morning for breakfast. I mean, listen, guys, back to work. Let's get back to work. And guys, let's all show up at the building this morning at 6 a.m. Let's get back to work, try to get another win. But I think, David, to your point, just everyone's carrying their head a little higher, chest is up, guys getting along a little better, and now the coach is getting there and coaching, and guys are not so touchy-feely about what they say to them. I don't want it to be my fault. I want it to be somebody else's fault when we're on this big losing streak. Let's get going. The things we're saying works. Now let's do the next thing, right? Now, like Mully said, now let's get that ball production, right? What are we when Justin Fields comes back in here? Can we beat the Detroit Lions of the NFL, right? Can we beat the Cleveland Browns of the NFL with our defense that we're playing with Montez Sweat now on the team? Can we get Tremaine Edmonds back? Can we get everybody back on that field? And then can we compete at a higher level?
Yeah, I think that it was cool to see the defense get back together. Brisker made a difference, as you mentioned. Tremaine Edmonds, I'm not sure about him, but I think he would have caught that pass that Sanborn didn't catch. And I'm not picking on Sanborn. I thought he played a really good game, and I think he's a really productive player. But there's a reason why you have a hierarchy, because one guy might be better in pass coverage than another. Whatever it is, there is a hierarchy in the NFL, and I think we've lost sight of that, especially where the quarterback is concerned.
Yeah, just say the names too, right? Say Tremaine Edmonds, Montez Sweat, T.J. Edwards, Brisker, Kyler Gordon, Jaylon Johnson, right? All of a sudden, you're like, man, when I look at the roster, and I say to myself, can we match up? Yes, we can. Athletically, length, strength, right? Andrew Billings in the middle, who's going to get movement on him, right? We got Montez Sweat. We talked about the Lions coming up. Now we match up a little better against that run game. If you would have talked about a week ago, Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker, oh, man, I've been like, oh, this is not going to be a good game for the Chicago Bears. But now you see, like, when Montez Sweat and Tremaine Edmonds, when he comes back, those two guys standing there, right? Those two guys walking off the bus. Now we got guys who can compete in the NFL at a high level. They have all the numbers. They have all the length. They run sub 4.7s. They can match up against very good football players, like you're saying, Mully. Tremaine Edmonds probably comes down with that pick, and then you got ball production out there and what the Chicago Bears need. So very interested to see when that guy gets back, what that defense looks like when they're standing all out there together.
After Dustin mentioned this earlier, I knew I had to ask you. So I don't know if you saw, but after the end of one play, Bryce Young picked up, it was a gain. Eddie Jackson kind of embraced, or they hugged, or they exchanged pleasantries during the game. During the game, former Alabama players, they didn't play together, I don't think, but they all are connected by their alma mater. What do you think when you see that, and did you ever have a rapport with an opponent like that?
Of course, those are your old teammates in college, right? Those are guys that you so quote unquote went to play games with, played in battle. You have a ton of respect for. Obviously, you're gonna tell them hello in the game. I thought it was overboard by Eddie, but it's a new era, right? It was a new era nowadays. But I like you guys know, my best friend played for the Lions for years, Dominic Raiola. We always talk to each other before the game, during the game. It's just you have a ton of respect for people that you played with, the guys that have made it to the highest level. These are guys that I don't know how long Eddie and Bryce were teammates, but you've known for years. Maybe they knew each other. Eddie took him under his wing at Alabama. These relationships are different than, I hate to say that, Dustin probably doesn't understand the relationship that they built.
I wouldn't argue. Dustin has that relationship with me, though, Olin. At any rate, when you look at this team, we talked about this a little bit. What is their identity? They won with like kind of an old-fashioned complementary football type mentality. But when you see them, what do you think their identity is?
I think their identity is what we all know it is, right? I mean, if you're talking about just as how are they going to win the game? If that's their identity, it is defense and running the ball, right?
Yep.
And it's that's very clear. And don't turn the ball over. That's their identity. But really, when you see this team, you just think about a team that's rebuilding, right? That has all these assets. And are they going to get to where they want to go with the assets that they have in the draft? As far as the salary cap goes, will the young players get better? I mean, that has been their identity now for more than 2 or 3 years. So we all know exactly what we're looking at when we're watching this team. We all know what kind of game we were going to watch last night. It's not hard to figure out exactly what this team is. The only thing that's hard to figure out is, are they moving in the right direction, and are they getting better?
Let's spin ahead a little bit and look at maybe when the Bears get a little healthier. I'm not quite sure where Nate Davis is, but eventually he's going to be back. Where does
He's only been 4 weeks. It's a 6-week injury, right?
Yeah, so you wonder if it's soon, but if it does,
it'll be 5 this. I don't know.
Where would you anticipate him fitting in, Olin? How do you think that's going to go? Because the right side of that offensive line, as we know and you have said, can be pretty dominant when they're working together in Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright.
It's a great question, man. I'm sure it's a question they're going over now up there at Hallis Hall. Coach Morgan, Coach Getzy, Coach Eberflus, Ryan Poles. When they get into that think tank, it's like, how do we move Tevin Jenkins, right? I'm sure, like you're trying to figure it out. It's not an easy answer, right? It's not an easy answer what to do there just because of the level Tevin Jenkins has played at and that that usually in his career, eventually he gets a little nicked up and he's out for a while, right? So you don't really know what to do there. I personally wouldn't move Tevin Jenkins. I would have him in a weight room. I'd be watching him every day. I'd be making sure he stays healthy. I'd be trying to stay in front of David, the injury he's about to get. I'd be trying to predict that injury by watching film, saying, okay, we need to train this. We need to watch for that. Him next to Darnell Wright has been a really good match. We'll put Mercedes Lewis there. We run downhill. We run a duo play. They call it dual. It's a gap scheme. Those two guys on a double team. A lot of the guys to take it on. I know Derek Brown last night had 10 tackles, but they did match up well against him last night against the Panthers. But as far as Nate Davis, I don't know if he plays left guard. I got to be honest with you. Like you guys know, I'm a big fan of Cody Whitehair, but I only tell you guys exactly what I see on film. I think that's the guy. If somebody comes back and you're going to put him in, I think that's the guy that has to come out.
And this is kind of a weird one, but Dominic Robinson has been a healthy and active for a while, a 5th-round pick in 2022, and now you add Velus Jones, a 3rd-round pick in 2022. And, I like that they're doing that. I think with Velus Jones, it's accountability, right? If a guy's not making positive plays and he's making negative plays and you're criticizing him during the week, you have to sit him down. I just wonder which of those two guys is closer to being off the roster than a part of it. And you hate to lose a young pass rusher. I'm not saying that Velus' speed isn't world class, all that, but how do you handle this as you have people coming back?
Yeah, I don't. I think it's pretty simple, right? You keep the guys that are producing. You keep the guys that are doing the things they're supposed to be doing every week, day in and day out. We used to always say in the locker room, Mully, like, you don't have to study, you don't have to train, you don't have to work hard, but you better be that guy, right? You better be the guy who shows up on Sunday and plays well, right? We had a few guys on our team like that. They didn't bug anybody because when Sunday came around or Monday or Thursday, they were performing. So if you're all that combined, if you're not putting in the work every day, if you're not showing up to practice, you're not doing the details, you're not working out, and then we put you in the game and you don't perform, well, it's time to move on. If you're an organization, you have to be worth the drama you bring to the team. You have to be worth the mistakes that you're making. So if all of that is happening, which I don't know if all that stuff is happening. I'm not in the building. I'm just guessing from the years I played why guys don't get their jersey on game day. I'm just guessing why you're inactive. That's why guys wouldn't be inactive. The guys who didn't get it, the guys who thought they were working hard enough, but they weren't, the guys who always found a reason why they weren't performing that wasn't them, that always found a reason that there was somebody else, that was somebody else's fault, that something else is going on. When I see young guys like that not suiting up, now we got to go out and get Montez Sweat. Now we got to give the reverse to Tyler Scott. When I see things like that, it's pretty easy math for me, what's going on there and what's about to happen.
Great stuff, Olin. Thank you, buddy. Great catching up.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.
That's Olin Kreutz.